Many people still love Ice Road Truckers, which is one of the most popular reality TV shows. People loved and respected the show because it showed what cars do on icy roads. Because they loved the group, a lot of people want to know more about them. Are you ready to learn the story behind the success of Ice Road Truckers and the actors who have died or are in jail? Watch this movie. Are you all set? Let's go. 6th place goes to Daryl Ward. Daryl Ward was a well-known actor in the group. Ward was an American truck driver and reality TV star who was born on August 13, 1964. That's all Ward has ever done, drive trucks. Because his family drove trucks, he watched them take care of trucks as a child. That's where Ward grew up. He drove harvesters for 30 years before he joined the popular TV show Ice Road Truckers. Both of his grandparents did the same job. He was cast as a regular in season 6, and fans fell in love with him. Why? People loved Ward because he was so big and crazy. Besides that, he called himself adrenaline junkie. A lot of fans said Ward had a kind heart and would always help other truckers who were in trouble. He wasn't just after money or fame. He was really into what he was doing, and most of all, he loved helping other people. His enemies sometimes got help from him. He wants everything to be okay for everyone. He wants everything to be okay for everyone. Because of him, the show's numbers went up. He stayed on the show until the 10th season. In addition, Ward would help the local government fight forest fires when he wasn't moving trucks. He was loved by everyone. Their love, though, wasn't enough to stop what happened. Ward died in a terrible plane crash near Rock Creek, Montana, on August 28, 2016. Everyone was saddened by his death. News stories say that Ward and his co-pilot crashed near the Rock Creek airstrip on their way back from the Great American Truck Show in Dallas, Texas. They had taken off from Missoula. He was traveling with Mark Melitz in a Cessna 182 Skylane with only one engine. People were even more upset when they learnt Ward was going to film a documentary-style show about finding plane wrecks. The National Transportation Safety Board looked into what happened after he died, but they didn't tell anyone what they found. In the end, they found that the accident was caused by camping, riding dirt bikes, and other outdoor activities. People missed him. The neighborhood also felt his loss. He was always willing to help any Tom, Dick, or Harry in town. For example, he once set up a food drive to help Louisianans who were hurt by the flooding in 2016. He freely gave away food and other things he had. Because of this, he was made Grand Marshal of the Truck Parade for the Special Olympics in Nova Scotia, Canada. What he lived by was any road, any load. What a nice guy. Number 5, Art Burke. Also, Art Burke is an interesting guest on the show. I'm gonna take these roads and level them out. He became a part of Ice Road Truckers in season 7 and has been in 38 shows since then. Burke did a good job from 2013 to 2017. He quickly became popular with watchers because of how funny and sweary he was. Burke was the type of person who never gave up. In one episode, things went badly for him when the front wheels of his truck broke through the ice. Anyone would have been scared and shook at this point. Burke wasn't scared, even though he knew his life was in danger. Even though he was under a lot of stress, he kept his cool. Before he thought about himself, he made sure that the cameraman that was with him was safe. After that, everyone loved him. Over time, his daring made people love him more. Burke was a cast member on Ice Road Truckers who people were interested in after the show ended. Surprisingly, the brave truck driver got in trouble with the law. What took place? Let's find out. The Ice Road Truckers drivers have shown many times that they will never give up when things get tough. Burke felt the same way. Unfortunately, it put him and other people in danger. A report from CBC News in November 2008 said that Burke was trying to make shatter, which is a type of cannabis extract. Liquid butane, which is very flammable, is part of the recipe he was supposed to use to make the substance. Burke did the experiment anyway, even though he knew this, and it ended in a big explosion. Burke got hurt and was taken to the hospital with burns on 40% of his body. He was hurt and had to stay in the hospital for 12 days to heal. It was bad for Burke that more damage was done. Things were brought to light 2 years after the event. He was charged with arson for not being careful. CBC says that the blast damaged the building where he was living at the time for more than $60,000, 0 cents. Let's find out everything that happened in court. When Burke first admitted to his crime, both the Crown prosecutor and his lawyers suggested that he should be put under house arrest for 18 months. Unfortunately, the judge turned down their request that Burke be able to work while under house arrest and do some of his time in the cab of his truck. The judges then asked the lawyers to explain why they thought that was right. He thought their ideas were too lax and simple. Burke told them that the blast had cost him a lot to help them. Burke also said, "In an instant, everything I had worked for was gone. I'm going to lose everything I saved for retirement." Out of fear, he told the probation officer not to talk to his wife because the whole thing was still making her very upset. There was another day planned, and guess who showed up late? Burke. Burke was lucky that he didn't show up early because that made the judge mad. It was planned that the sentence would happen at 9 a.m. Burke was meant to show up via video from a jail in Prince Edward Island, but the clerk at the court said he hadn't shown up. Burke's lawyer called him and found out that he thought the meeting would start at 9:30 in the morning. The judge answered that it had been said at least 3 times that it would start at 9. Burke's lawyer said that her client was ready to go to court in PEI. Malloy responded, "It's not going to happen now. At 9:3 there are other things that need to be done. You have until Tuesday at 9:30 to tell me why he shouldn't come to Yellowknife to be sentenced." The judge then shut down the court. 4th place goes to Hugh Rowland. "This is what I've done for 30 years, even though I'm 48 years old." Hugh Rowland stood out from the other Ice Road Truckers stars. Hugh Rowland, who is better known as Polar Bear, made his debut in the pilot and stayed a regular until the end of Season 8, Episode 12. He was the second most talked about driver on the show after Alex Debogorski. Hugh was a strange but skilled driver. He was also well known and liked on the show. Hugh is also known for giving funny answers. When he was first asked to be filmed for the show, he replied in a wry and funny way, "You can put cameras in my cars, but please stay out of my way," he said. "Cost me any cash. No one is going to watch us skate around on the ice." Hugh Rowland was the person in question. He didn't care. He went on to write a book about his time on the show and as a truck driver in general after he left. On thin ice, breakdowns, whiteouts, and survival on the world's deadliest roads, his book was a great work of art. He told camera teams all over the world about his life on the lonely road and the not-so-lonely show. "I've done a lot of other things, but I've been in this for over 30 years, Hugh told Shelf Awareness. "I drove for 18 years and built ice roads for 15 years. The rest of the year I do other trucking and construction work. I work all the time. I do snow stunt driving for the show. I run into snowbanks, slide and swing trucks into ditches because I'm a very good driver." Hugh's life was fun and full of things to do. All of that changed when he was in an accident that took away his bright and beautiful life. Where did Hugh Rowland go? Get ready to learn. A lot of people thought Hugh was tired when he left the show. Some people thought he wanted to begin something new. It's too bad that wasn't the case. Hugh Rowland for very bad reasons. Net Worth Post says that the energetic truck driver had to quit his job because of an accident. One day, Hugh was riding along in the back seat of a car driven by one of the show's directors. He said that Will was driving carelessly. Because he was careless, he and Hugh both went off the road and into a group of trees. Hugh was seriously hurt below the waist. Because the injuries were so bad, he could no longer do his job as a truck driver. This caused him to quit all of a sudden. Hugh was known for having a bad temper, so he wasn't ready to let go. A report from TMZ says that Hugh sued Morrison for his injuries. That's not all, TMZ says. The case cost him his marriage as well as his job because of the injuries. The news source said that Hugh's injuries affected his lower body and made it impossible for him to have sexual relations with his wife. They were both very upset about the idea that her husband might not be able to do as well. She needed someone to be with, and the marriage lost all of its meaning for her without that. The case was brought in 2014. We haven't heard anything new since then. Hugh never went back on the show, though, which showed that nothing had changed with his health. Lisa Kelly is the third person. I just did a really tough set. I believe I made 180,000 pounds. Lisa Kelly, who played another character on the show, is not dead or in jail, but she has been through her fair share of pain. Let's look into her life. Lisa Kelly is an American truck driver who was born on December 8, 1980, and has been on the History Channel reality show Ice Road Truckers. Because she was so good at what she did, she was also on the show's spin-off, IRT's Deadliest Roads, from Season 3 to Season 5, and again from Season 7 to Season 11. Ice Road Truckers followed Kelly and the other drivers as they drove from Fairbanks to Prudhoe Bay on the icy Dalton Highway. They often carried things that were too big. Before Maya Sieber came in Season 5, Kelly was the only female truck driver on the show. Stephanie joined in Season 10 after Maya did. Kelly grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. When she was 6 years old, her family moved to a small farm in Sterling, Alaska. It was hard for Kelly to grow up. When she went back to Grand Rapids for college, she ended up at Cornerstone, where she learned that she liked driving trucks more than learning. But that's how long she stayed in the hospital before she decided it wasn't for her. She left to follow her dream, but it cost her something. It was hard for her to get to the top. Kelly drove a school bus and rode motocross bikes before he joined Ice Road Truckers. She also worked at a pizza place and a petrol station. Kelly won first place in the state for a long time in freestyle motocross. She had tried a lot of different jobs before she decided on one that would last, so she learned how to drive a truck because it looked like a fun job. After her training, she got a job as a driver for Alaskan haulage company Carlisle Transportation. It was hard for her to do the job because she was a woman. Kelly also told more about herself. As I can with the short time I have been given here on Earth. I want to be old and not feel bad about the things I didn't do. For me, living life to the fullest means having big dreams and then going after them. Being a person I'd want to hang out with and having a positive outlook on life are both important. There's no point in living a miserable life. One thing that helped Kelly keep going was this. Because she was a woman, she had to deal with tough problems. Many people looked down on her and didn't treat her with the respect she earned, but she kept going anyway. Then she said, "That's Lisa Kelly, the woman who changed her life and left her mark on the show with her silent struggles and pain. This needs you, how is he, gender doesn't matter. This fear and how hard the job is make many trainees quit. They don't wait until the next day or another season to leave. Some do it right away. Also, the fact that they know they have to keep going at the same speed the whole time they are on the ice, and that stopping or getting stuck will kill them, could kill them. Long trips and bad weather were things they had to deal with. All of these things made a new worker hate working on the show. Because their job was so hard, all of the truckers made sure they had a lot of time and practice behind the wheel. For Steph, though, it was the other way around. When Steph joined the show, she didn't know much about driving a truck before she started working out on the ice. Stephanie joined the show during Season 10, but she had no experience. Todd Dewey and Lisa Kelly helped her learn the ropes of the job. Fans also knew this. They were eager to see how this beginner driver would end. When she first came on the show, she was being trained in tough settings. Mark Kohajewicz, her boss at Polar Industries, told her she had to pass a tough driving test. Later, an interview between Lisa Kelly and Overdrive in 2016 showed that she didn't have much experience as a driver. Kelly said over the phone that Lisa hadn't driven a truck before the show. This caused a lot of people to say things. A lot of people think that the people in charge of the show shouldn't have hired someone who worked on trucks and ice. It was risky. Everyone was scared at first, but Steph quickly settled them down with her strength and quickness to change. Everyone thought it was weird, but she became one of the best and most skilled young truck drivers on the show. She kept working on the show through seasons 10 and 11 before it was canceled. Steph was going on her first ice road drive. She and her friend were bobtailing to Shamatawa, Manitoba, to get back two polar travelers who had been left there last season. It was supposed to be like a park walk. But this was Steph's first ride, and Todd had to tell her how heavy her first trip would be. He told them, "Get ready for a wild rodeo." He then said that letting a new driver with no training on the roads would be a bad idea. He was right, too. Before the trip, Steph almost agreed, but she said, "I don't know what to expect." In the end, she got over her fears and said, "I'm doing it." A lot of people were shocked by how strong and brave she became. Later, in an upcoming issue of She Drives Trucks, Steph bravely talked about what made her, a 22-year-old mom, want to take on Canada's worst driving job. She said, "That's my son. I do everything for my child. That's so sad." As they rode on and went north, Todd figured it was time to tie the bikes together for the rest of the trip. At that very moment, his worries and fears about Steph came back. Steph told Todd, "I might not know how to put chains on the tires, which makes things even worse." But Todd saved her. Almost like a big brother, he taught her how to throw iron on the ice road. But he did it with a lot of stress. That scared him a lot. She is in a good mood. She has a lot to prove today, though. Steph didn't know it, but there were more tough tests coming up. There was one time she had to cross a lake that had been broken through by a truck earlier. Todd didn't follow her for that test. From the shore, he watched, directed, and praised her over the CD as she drove with the door open. She made it to the other side after a lot of trouble. She stopped and told Todd, "I think I just made it to land." She started crying after that. Todd replied, "Good job, Junior." He said later that he had not seen someone smile that big in a long time when they talked about her success. Her smile didn't last long, though, because when they got to another ice bridge, one of them was blocked off. Number 1. Alex Dvorsky running against the heat. Alex Dvorsky has a net worth that no one thought he would have. Alex is thought to be worth $400,000, 0 cents, according to study. Even though the roads were dangerous, he earned this. Stan and Irene Dvorsky raised Alex in Berwyn, Alberta, Canada. He learned to respect nature as a child. Stan, his father, served in World War II with the 1st Polish Armored Brigade as a paratrooper and tank leader. At the same time, his mother Irene had degrees in both music and maths from Cambridge. Their family moved from Britain to Canada in 1952. Alex grew up on a farm because of this. A lot of the skills he learnt on the farm would shape him in the years to come. He learnt how important it is to work hard. Alex used to work at a tire shop, as a taxi driver, as a club bouncer, and as a mobile home flipper before he became famous and well-liked. He worked as a coal miner and as a diamond hunter at one point. His many adventures had a big impact on how he felt on the ice roads. When Alex got the part in Ice Road Truckers later in 2007, his life changed in a big way. He stood out in the show because of his many years of knowledge and charming personality. Alex was loved by everyone, and guess what? He was in all 11 seasons of the show, which was an amazing accomplishment that no one else had done. But while working on the show, he had to deal with many risks and difficulties, such as driving on frozen roads in remote areas, which made Alex famous all over the world. Alex's autobiography, King of the Road: True Tales from a Legendary Ice Road Trucker, came out in 2010. The book was a big hit because it showed many parts of his life and how dangerous it is to drive on the ice. Also, Alex has made a big difference in the neighborhood and people are proud of him. How the Ice Road Truckers came to be. Ice Road Truckers, which is commonly shortened to IRT, is a reality TV show that ran on the History Channel from 2007 to 2017. The people who watched the show loved it and appreciated it a lot. Why? The show showed what truck drivers did when they drove on ice roads that crossed frozen rivers and lakes. Watching those drivers work in rural areas of Alaska and Canada made the show more real. History showed a 46-minute episode of the Dangerous Missions series in 2000. It was called Ice Road Truckers. Back then, Ice Road Truckers wasn't a separate show. Edith Iglauer's book, Denizens Ice Road, says that the episode shows how dangerous it is to drive cars over frozen lakes. In Canada's Northwest Territories, these lakes were also known as ice roads. When the program was shown again after 2000, it was as an episode of the show Modern Marvels. Ice Road Truckers got a lot of viewers when it was on, under the name Modern Marvels. Because of how well the episode did, the History Channel hired Thomas Beers, who owns Original Productions and is the executive director of Deadliest Catch, to make a show based on the Ice Road book. In 2006, this took place. The high-definition video show follows the lives of 6 extraordinary men for 2 months as they haul important goods to diamond mines and other remote places across frozen lakes that serve as roads. Let's look at each season. The first season of Ice Road Truckers aired on Station 5, the main commercial station in Britain, in February and March 2008. Over time, more people watched and rated the show. In early 2008, it was shown on Austar and Foxtel. It was picked up by Network 10 after Austar. The show started airing on June 18th. In the Netherlands, Season 1 aired on RTL 7 in the autumn of 2008. Italy was one of the few countries that didn't add the show to their schedule in 2008. Heroes of the Ice, the name of the first season, debuted on the History Channel in Italy on January 7, 2010 with its first episode. In Canada, the first season didn't start until March 4, 2009. Season 2 came out, and in the US it debuted on June 8, 2008. In the United Kingdom, it first aired on History Channel on October 9, 2008. Later that same day, November 12, 2008, Season 2 began in New Zealand. It first aired on Channel 5 in the UK on January 7, 2009. Because the second season was so popular, they chose to keep going with the TV show, which is why Season 3 came out. In the US, Season 3 began on May 31, 2009. It first aired in the UK on September 10. Series 3 began on January 5, 2010 on Channel 5. The TV show was different from others, but did the people who watched think it was also unique? Let's find out. 3.4 million people watched the first episode of the new show. At that point in time, the show was the most watched original show on the History Channel's 12-year history. Wow, a lot of reviewers gave the show good ratings. Adam Buckman from the New York Post was one of them. He said that everything about the show Ice Road Truckers was amazing. According to Virginia Heffernan of the New York Times, the men and women with big beards and bad language who blow methyl hydrate into their feeds and look forward to storms as breaks from being bored make much better TV. There were a lot more reviews besides these. Another thing is that the show was shown in many African, UK, and Australian countries. The beginning of the show attracted the viewers. In the beginning, they showed a truck breaking through the ice. Real crashes that killed people have been talked about on the show, but they have never been shown. Also, in 2008, 20th Century Fox bought the rights from the History Channel to make a written action movie based on the show. William Wisher Jr. wrote the script, and John Moore was hired to direct the movie. That's how much they liked the show. Later that same year, Slytherin Software put out a video game for the PlayStation Portable. And in 2020, Eminem and Juice Double World talked about the show in their song Godzilla. Finally, what do you think of these actors? Which of their stories made you feel the most? Do you agree that Ward's death hurt too? Feel free to share your ideas below. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you like this movie, and watch the other videos on your screen before you leave.